Learning about real estate purchases using the VA loan. We're going to split this up into several classes so that it's easier to digest. There are a lot of issues that come up. That being said, this class is for real estate agents who want to start helping their borrowers who are military or retired or former military, want to learn about income and that sort of thing. It is also for borrowers. It's a little more in depth, having people know more. We have a smoother transaction, you're happier. So let's get started. Real estate purchases using the VA loan. If you have questions, go ahead and email me, lisa@delzompohomes.com. How to pre-approve for a VA loan. First, we've got the borrower, their income, their credit score matters, their debts. What is this housing debt? What's their other debt? Then their debt to income ratio. The home itself has to qualify. Is the seller flipping it? Is it move-in ready? Walls and roof, flooring, appliances, termite, well water, septic. We'll go through those things when we get to that part of the course. For right now, let's talk about the borrower's income. We'll go to active duty income. If they're active duty, we look at base pay, their housing pay, BAS, and other pays that will continue. Now let's take a look at an LES. This is an actual LES that I've pulled the identifying information off of. You can see the name would be up here. Various information is up here. We call these boxes the 4 box, the 5 box. You can see the 33 box. Here in 37, the BA zip 92055, that's a Camp Pendleton zip code. We could go from the LES, and generally we like to get all of the income documentation up front so that we can verify it using the documents. But when someone's deployed or they're having a tough time getting that to us and we've got their quick app, we can go ahead and find these data out on the internet. Just Google for basic pay, Google for the BAS, and Google for the BA. You have to decide if it's with or without dependents. If they're married or have children living with them, then you know that they're going to have a dependent pay. So if we're not going to be looking at an LES, we would be back here at our base pay, looking at Google. I would Google military base pay and then the current year that we're looking at. If it looks like you're going to be closing in the new year, say you're in December, I'd go ahead and Google for the base pay of the following year. So the housing pay, the BA, BAH, Google military BA for that year that you're going to be looking at. You're going to need to know the duty station that they're going to be stationed at, where they'll be receiving the new BA if they're coming from somewhere else. So make sure that you're using the BA amount, BAH amount for the base where they will be stationed, where they're going to be buying that house. Then the BAS, that's pretty easy. It's one for enlisted, it's a different amount for officers. Other pays that will continue 3 or more years, you can't use COLA. You can't use hazard pay when you're deployed, because when you return stateside, you're not going to be getting those pays. Something that you could count are things like language pay, etc. I generally don't want to count any other pays, because the more pays you count to try to qualify higher, the higher that pay, the higher that payment is going to be for your house, and then you're uncomfortable. You might struggle to make that payment. So why not qualify on just your basic pay, your housing pay, and your BAS? That's active duty income. Now, what if someone is off of active duty, but they still qualify for the VA loan because they were on active duty at one time, or they're reservist? This is the same as for other non-active duty income, except the person does not have to have been on that job for 2 full years if you're transitioning from the military. If you're on W-2 income, it's a lot easier to prove it. You get into all the complications of civilian incomes. We won't go into that here. 1099 pays, that's where someone is, for example, a real estate agent. That gets complicated, so email me if you have questions about that. If the person is receiving commissions and bonuses, must have received those for 2 full years to go ahead and count those as part of the income that's being considered in the debt to income ratio. What about GI Bill monies? The VA does not allow us to count them. The reason I've been looked into this was that you may decide next month not to go to school anymore. Well, That's kind of the same deal with whether you're going to decide whether or not to keep working for an income, but at some point, somewhere along the way, the VA had decided that it's a different kind of decision, that working for a living and putting food on the table with a job is a different thing than receiving GI Bill. So we can't count it. So that's it for the issue of how do we determine income, and we will move on then to credit scores, debt, and the rest of all our information. Again, if you've got questions, feel free to email me, Lisa at delzampohomes.com.